It's daybreak here on Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages of the papers, and we start with our sister publication, This Day newspapers. The headline there says it's Igbo's turn to produce president in 2023. This is coming from Afenifere, MBF, PANDEF. They are insisting on this. Emmanuel will talk to us about whether this is politics or whether this is just a game. Two writers there declare Yoruba's presidential bid inelegant. Say unfortunate. Jonathan allowed himself to be disgraced. I wonder what that means, really. And then in the picture there, Korean visit this day stroke Arise Media Group. You can see the chairman and Doko Baibana with the Korean delegation. Then just below that picture, presidential ticket. Let all go to national convention, says PDP Northern leaders. Page 8, a fallout of the Saraki, Bala Mohammed, Northern elders, but they have rejected that since. Well, and then WHO, malaria killed over 602,000 people in Nigeria. Others in 2021, it has about 3 riders there. Then Oshibajo Amechi, just on top of the logo of this day, Oshibajo Amechi in Ondo to solicit delegates' votes. Find it on page 8. Then Elon Musk reaches agreement to acquire Twitter for $44 billion. We just read that a while ago. Over 40 million Nigerians on microblogging platform. That's from This Day newspaper.
And the Punch, leading with the Electoral Act, it says Amechi Ngige, others risk disqualification over failure to resign. Some riders to this story. We will disqualify them at screening if they fail to resign, says party chieftain. APC submits register to INEC ahead of deadline and commences sale of forms today. And the ruling party awaits court judgment on the controversial section, fails to refund aspirants. The leading photo on the front page of the Punch this morning shows a lot of people at a makeshift testing just outside some office buildings as another wave of COVID-19 breaks out in Beijing. More headlines above the nameplate of the Punch this morning. Presidency group differs as Ohaneze Adebanjo won Jonathan.
The Guardian newspaper, North plots to retain power. That's according to Afenifere, PANDEF, and others still alleging. We regret supporting Buhari in 2015. That's words of Unongo. Twitter, Nigeria agreement suffers setback as Elon Musk buys a microblogging platform. 2023, again, not consensus, confusion tasks PDP on fair play. And Douglas, ex-minister, dies in Abuja.
All right, the Nation newspaper, the headline there, PDP ex-governors, aspirants reject consensus candidate with 2 riders, or 3 actually, Obi Ngige Umahi, and rally ethnic nationalities for Southeast presidential bid. Igbo leaders deny Wike Amechi. Rivers governor donates 200 million naira in Kaduna. Is following after Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then, of course, let's see, TCN Disco's Genco's trade blames over poor power supply. Generation dips to 2,561 megawatts. APC begins sale of forms in Abuja and states 3 directors fired. Actually, it was mostly all the directors there. Page 3, you can find that there. And that's it for the Nation newspaper.
Some international papers this morning. Financial Times says Twitter talk. Musk nears $43 billion deal. Beijing gripped by panic buying as COVID cases show grave rise. Prospect of full lockdown and jitters spread to Chinese stocks. Another headline on the Financial Times this morning, Turkish philanthropist jailed for life in blow to human rights and rule of law.
And this is the Times. Passport shambles threatens holiday, and invasion has cost Russia an estimated 15,000 lives.
All right, the PM's bonfire of politics to placate angry Tories, and just on top, their Priti Patel abandons plan to push back channel migrants. That's for the eye papers. I think we bring in, and of course there are some sports stories there. I'm seeing Benzema there. Can Man City stop carrying Benzema? We'll see how that plays out. I think it's today. Is it today? Okay. Let's bring in Emmanuel. Emmanuel, glad to have you join us this morning. A wonderful Monday morning. Morning to you. We start with this day newspapers. It's Igbo's turn to produce president in 2023. Now, this is coming from Afenifere, MBF, PANDEF. They are insisting and talks about the fact that Yoruba's presidential bid is inelegant. Do you talk about elegance and inelegance in politics? How do you see this particular stance by these groups before we talk about some other stories there? Emmanuel.
It's a great story, and I'm not surprised that this is leading with it. I was in the room yesterday. I was in this meeting, and the emotion and the vibrancy that was displayed there is such that should capture any serious reporting. And so this day leading with it makes a lot of sense. Yes, speaker after speaker reiterating what they've been saying all along, that it's Igbo turn. And almost everyone, that is anyone in Igbo land, was in this meeting yesterday. The hall at ICC was charged full, and you could see determination, you could see capacity, you could see the best that Igbo had to offer the country. So, and they were very clear about it. And this they tried to capture, because there were so many speeches yesterday, as you can imagine. And these days trying to capture as much as it can of all that the speaker were saying. But of course, Baba was, like they were calling him yesterday, came out very strongly, and what he has to say was almost the keynote address yesterday. The Afenifere leader, who was very, very, he was leaning on what he's known over the years. He's over 90, and to say that a lot of people found that quite profound. To say that God has kept him till now. Because he needed to talk very strongly about Igbo presidency. And he was very clear about it. He was saying, and talking about elegance, like you noted, he was saying that it's wrong. Very striking that he said he had a face-to-face conversation with Ahmed Bola Tinubu and said, do you think President Buhari will ever allow you to be president? And Tinubu said yes. Say, okay, if you think he's going to make you president, why is he asking other people around here in the Southwest to run? And that Buhari only wants to divide the Southwest, and also, so that an Igbo presidency it will not happen, and that the North, very profound thing he said the North wants to remain in power. So, they're just sitting there yesterday and watching him at his, 90 plus man, standing still and speaking on top of his voice, just gives you chill bumps, and you begin to wonder what the future will be like. Another, 90 plus old man that spoke was the Edwin Clark. And these are people representing different tendencies in the polity, all coming together as friends of the Igbo nation to say it's the turn of the Igbos to present a president. And they were not missing what about Middle Belt was represented. And but just sitting there watching them talk, you get the feeling that there's some serious, this is one of the best or most serious push for an Igbo presidency.
Emmanuel Bello, let's talk about Elon Musk as he reaches an agreement to acquire Twitter for $44 billion. He says Twitter isn't reaching its goal as a platform that's meant to be for free speech, and he's even asking his fiercest critics to still remain on Twitter because that's what free speech means to him. And we know Elon Musk has been accused of routinely using Twitter to illegally influence and value some of his holdings. Now, analysts are worried this free speech that he talks about, hopefully it doesn't lead into spreading misinformation and manipulating the public.
Yeah, well, that is one aspect that I think you and I in this business should worry about. I mean, if that kind of takeover has happened, we should worry about what's the future of information, even journalism. The implication for reporting, implication for spreading the right kind of stories. But it's also big business. I mean, 35 billion pounds. What monies is Twitter going to be making after now? What profits is it going to be making? And also, in Kechias, like you noted, those who are threatening a boycott or a walkout because of the criticism in the past. I think, by and large, the biggest concern now for some people is the return of Donald Trump on Twitter. He's got his fan base too on that platform, and Elon Musk, is offering what looks like what a lot of people believe will be a return, because in the past he has actually queried the fact that people were censored. So it's big news, and for big tech, a big tech company like that, and of course serious implication for democracy, for freedom of speech, and which incidentally Elon Musk is saying that, look, that's what he stands for. But again, yes, the dangers of free speech is also the crisis of misinformation. And we're living in an age where a lot of that is going on because of social media and the concerns that people cannot sift between what is real and what is not real, and with a lot of implication for to everybody's sanity. So, but we're going to see how this works out. But now it is big news for those of us in the business and everybody, or every other person in the world who is interested in information flow.
Emmanuel, we do know that social media is one platform that helps what I'm about to talk about go forward, and that's Ponzi schemes. If you look at the front page of the National Economy, it says unemployment, poverty expose Nigerians to Ponzi schemes, and I wonder, is it just unemployment and poverty? Does the government regulation and greed have a role to play in citizens falling prey to this?
Well, there's a place for legislation, but then, of course, you can't legislate on greed. And you can't legislate on people trying to just make the most money out of nothing. And that is what Ponzi schemes, all over try to play on. First, greed, and of course, yes, genuine poverty and, the need to survive. The survival instinct of people. Ponzi scheme plays on all of that. So yes, while you try to regulate, while you try to even play on the psyche of people and tell them to be careful and to watch them and tell them what to do, at the same time, there's really nothing you can do about, somebody trying to make the most out of nothing. And that's what's led to, the so-called ritual killings, blood money that you hear about. So there's a little you can do about greed, and you can't even legislate on that. The best you can do is sermonize on it, pontificate on it and talk to people about it. But again, Ponzi schemes will always get people. After MMM, I thought everyone should be careful, but of course, you see more of those things coming, and they offer you a great life and all that. But the criminal aspect of it is, of course, what legislation and good governance and leadership should be able to look into. Because even the best of leadership example, you see how people who gamble the little that they have and all of that. So there's a place of legislation, yes, there's a place of leadership, there's a place of guide and governance in all of that. But there's little you can do about human greed.
Okay, all right. Well, let me take you back to this day. It's still the same PDP governors on the front of nation, where it says presidential ticket. Let us go to national convention. It says PDP Northern elders. The fallout of the Saraki Bala Mohammed. What's really going on here?
It's still a backlash, from that whole consensus arrangement that Bala, the governor of Bauchi State, and Saraki, paraded at the weekend. So first, of course, the Northern Elders Forums came out under Baba Hakim Ahmed and say, look, we're not part of that. And now the PDP, former PDP governors are weighing in, and very strong voices too, saying that, look, there's nothing like a consensus, candidate. And so it's the Bauchi State governor and Saraki getting knocks over their claims that they've been adopted by the North. And now they are saying, look, let's go to the convention and slug this thing out. The idea of a Northern consensus candidate has not happened. Of course, Bala Mohammed and Saraki's joy is probably short-lived by this because you have these very, very strong voices coming out and saying that, look, we didn't endorse, the North has not endorsed anyone for the contest. I think what we should watch now is to see what Saraki and Bala are going to say. But for now, the mood is that, look, let them go out, slug it out so that you don't foreclose or you don't shut out anyone who is already in this contest, especially people like Atiku, big names, and of course Tambuwal, who are also in this race, that you don't shut them out because somebody said that he's produced some consensus candidate.
Well, speaking of shutting out, some candidates, Amechi Ngige and others, might be shut out if they don't resign. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Ballo, for joining us this morning. That's the press preview.